Well, hello there, Magnus, and hello to everybody that's now joining us. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All is well today, I hope.
Yep, all is well. Kind of rainy and cold here in Utah where I'm at, but all things considered, pretty good day.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, here in Sweden we have, spring is coming, and I guess spring in Sweden pretty much is, I don't know, it's pretty cold still. It's like 7 degrees Celsius, but for us it's pretty warm, I guess.
Well, I tend to actually like the cold weather, which living here in Utah is probably not such a good idea because it's very hot here, particularly in the summertime. But you know, my ancestors were from Denmark and Norway, so I've always loved the cold weather. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with the cold, but I do love the heat, so we could trade places or something at some point.
Right on. And I see Lino is here with us. Lino and Matthias, hello. You guys are there?
Hello, hello.
Right
Yes,
on.
we are.
Wonderful. So nice to actually see you face to face here, as it were. And
Yeah.
Matthias, we got to see you a little bit last week, so that was fun. But Lino, very very nice meeting you for the first time.
The same to you. Thank you.
Right on. We'll give the people some more time to jump on here. I'm sure people will start joining us here shortly. But how cool is it that today is the anniversary of you releasing Sentimental Sounds? I had no idea. That is so wonderful. That's
Perfect timing.
just perfect timing. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 year. I mean, it's not only the release of Sentimental Sounds, it's the debut of More, so it's the birthday of More. So this is a perfect celebration opportunity, I would say.
Well, a very happy birthday to More.
Thank you.
Right on. Okay.
Hey Jim, Edgar said he isn't going to be able to make it, but wanted to say hi to everybody. So
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks for letting me know. How's the weather there in Kentucky, sir?
it is just pouring rain all day today. It's just been a wet, miserable day.
Yeah.
Lots of rain today.
Kind of like that here. It's well, I'm looking out the window here. I guess it stopped raining, but it's still kind of overcast and gray.
Yeah,
Not typical for Utah in this late in April.
Yeah, it's just kind of drizzling here. We're kind of wrapping up this little cold spell that we've been in all week, and it's going to get back into the 80s like Monday and Tuesday here. So
Cool. And welcome to Mr. Matt Danforth and Sean Kelly, and to Lance. I see Lance has joined us. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining us here.
How's
Mars,
everyone?
Mars is working, so he can't join us, unfortunately.
Ah, okay. Right on. And Valerie is joining us here momentarily, so getting a good crew here.
So nice to see so many of your faces. Seeing you in the chat rooms and whatnot the past year. It's just amazing to see people gather.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I've really been enjoying about doing the Zoom Spotlight series, and is we actually for the first time get to see each other in real time and interact with each other and converse with one another, and it's very simple, but it's been really fun. It's been really enjoyable, I think. So it's, definitely looking forward to today.
Yeah, likewise. It's a great what do you call it? I lost it, but it's a fantastic initiative, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I am super honored that you and Matthias and Lino have agreed to take some time out of your Saturday evening to do this with us. It's I have to admit, and it's no secret, I became a fan the moment I heard literally probably the first 10 to 15 seconds of Sentimental Sounds last year, I was like, ooh, I like that. And then the singing, I mean, your vocals just absolutely spun me into a completely different dimension as I was listening to it. And it's not very easy for a song to impact me that much. And Sentimental Sounds definitely did that. And everything you've released subsequently has been no less impressive. So it's truly an honor for me to be able to do this wonderful episode with you guys, and look forward to getting into it here in just a few minutes when we get things going here. So, but yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
you are most welcome. And Sean Kelly, I really like the shirt that you're wearing. I can see you're representing Roland quite well there with the Jupiter 8 shirt.
Oh yeah, great synthesizer.
There you go. Right on.
I'm wearing my concert T-shirt, The Greatest Order. It's just a great.
That's awesome, Lance. That's awesome. Well, I'm representing that one band from Utah. I don't know if you guys can see that.
I couldn't find my Eminent Soul shirt. It's somewhere.
Yeah. Right on.
We'll have to coordinate.
Definitely.
I've got a good shirt on. Check this out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bigger.
that is awesome.
Gotta
Very nice.
represent.
I have to get a more T-shirt, and I've got to buy a Black Light T-shirt, and some of the other bands that I've had on here. I need to do better about that.
I think we can arrange something if you would like one.
I gotta support everybody here, so I want to represent as best as I can. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. If to begin, if I can ask everybody except for Lino, Matthias, and Magnus to put themselves on mute so that we can begin the interview portion. And again, the way this works is the first portion of this will be me interviewing the band and just having a very laid back conversation with them regarding how they approach music and talk a little bit about their history and whatnot. And then once that's completed, I will open the floor, as it were, to all the live event attendees that are here to ask questions of the band members themselves or myself. And the whole idea behind this is to make it a very laid back kind of as if we were all in the same living room together, basically is kind of how it is. Kind of no frills. There's no exciting music, unfortunately, for me to do like a theme music and that kind of thing. So this is all just very, very much as though we were all getting together at somebody's house to just, enjoy one another's company and, have a few drinks and friendly conversations. So with that, I would like to welcome all of you that are joining me today from all over the world, no matter where you may be. We have people tuning in from Europe, from the UK, and from Sweden and Germany, it looks like, and also in the North America and the United States and Canada. And so we got a pretty good crowd here. For those that don't know me, my name is Jim Kelgard. That's Jim with 2 M's. 1, 2, count them. Yeah, baby, that's me. I am the host of the weekly Synth-Pop radio show on Radio Plus Israel, which is called The Soul of Synth-Pop. And I've been doing that for going on 4 years. As of next month in May, I will have been on the air for 4 years with Radio Plus as the host of The Soul of Synth-Pop. And on my show, my whole thing is I play a combination of what we would call legacy artists, the artists that are the living legends that created the genre, as it were, like OMD, Erasure, Depeche Mode, New Order, Pet Shop Boys, and so forth, as well as the modern day independent synth pop artists who I believe will one day become the legacy artists of tomorrow, because I believe the talent that's out there is truly that good. And I say it all the time, I believe that we are truly living in a new golden age, or a new golden era, as it were, of synth pop. And that's evidenced clearly by the amount of talent that we have that is played on the show, and by many of you who are attending this live event right now. So it has always been a deep honor for me to be able to play the music that I do and to have these special friendships and relationships that I've discovered through my radio show. Short while ago, last year, I got together with some of my friends and some of the independent artists, and we kind of experimented with this whole idea of doing what has now become the Soul of Synth-Pop Zoom Spotlight series, where we just get a bunch of artists together and some fans and listeners of my show, and just simply talk about the music that we love, and specifically with the artists, what exactly it is that makes them tick. How do they find inspiration in their creativity and whatnot? And so that's what the Soul of Synth-Pop Zoom Spotlight series is, just an opportunity for us as synth-pop fans, myself included, to get to know the artists and the fans and producers and other celebrities within the genre, as it were, to be better connected and just know one another better, and take advantage of this pandemic that has uprooted kind of all of us here over the past, what is it, going on 20 months now, I think. So this is here to kind of be an avenue for people to not just promote what they're doing, but to really develop a deeper appreciation for one another. And as my philosophy has always been, that the rising tide raises all ships, kind of thing. So with that, a little bit of background on me. Again, despite aside from being everything I just told you, I am a professional audio engineer and record producer that has been working in the industry for going on 30 years now. I do write and perform songs as well. Those of you that know me know that I'm involved in Eminent Soul, which is my personal music project that I have been doing for about the last 7 or 8 years now. I've been playing synthesizers and keyboards for about 35 years. It's my biggest passion outside of my family. I've had the privilege of having worked with many of some of the biggest names in the synth pop genre. As some of you know, in 2004, I was instrumental in helping Paul Humphreys of OMD and Claudia Brucken of Propaganda launch their 1-2 project, their debut EP. I was one of the individuals that helped them get that project launched. And former member of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, and also a former member of the Audio Engineering Society. So truly, music in and of itself is my life, and my greatest passion where music is concerned is synth pop, electro-pop, synthwave. Kraftwerk are my all-time favorite band, followed probably by OMD and Erasure. And I just love synthesizers. I love the limitless potential that the synthesizer offers as an instrument. But I reside in Utah. I'm originally from New York, born and raised in New York, and having lived in Utah for about 27 years now, I have learned to cover up my New York accent, as many people know. But get me going, or get me watching a Raiders game or something like that, and my New York accent comes back big and strong. So, but we'll hide that today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the. We'll start talking to Lino and Matthias and Magnus of More, who are a absolutely breathtaking synth pop trio hailing from Stockholm, Sweden. And as luck would have it, today is the band's anniversary. And we didn't plan that specifically. It just happened to be a perfect coincidence of events. And it was 1 year ago today that the band released their debut single called Sentimental Sounds. And shortly thereafter, they released an EP called EP1. And then last fall, they released their debut album, which was called From the Past. And as those of you that are longtime listeners of my show will be familiar with, I was so impressed by it. I considered it to be one of the best albums of 2020. And Sentimental Sounds was one of the best songs of 2020 as well. And as I said at the onset of the meeting, I was instantly a fan within seconds of the first time I heard Sentimental Sounds and heard that thumping bass, and then Magnus's vocals just simply captivated me, and the harmonies that he had in that song. And that was pretty much the beginning of my absolute appreciation for this wonderful trio from Stockholm. So with that, I'm going to introduce the band now, and I'm going to ask Lino, Matthias, and Magnus to just one by one, and we'll start with Lino. If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us where you're from, any family details you want to, and we'll just get started from there. So Lino, go ahead.
Thanks. Well, I live in Falun, 25 or 250 kilometers north of Stockholm. I live in a house with my 2 children and my wife and a cat.
Wonderful. Okay, Matthias, how about you?
Yeah, I'm born in a town called named Nyköping. It's about 1 hour drive south of Stockholm. But since 1998, I live in Stockholm, and I live here with my wife and 3 kids. Have 2 daughters and 1 son. And the oldest one turns 18 in May, and the other one turns 16 in September, and my son is 11.
Ah, so you've got teenagers now.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that
Small
fun?
kids, small problem. Big kids, big
Slightly
problems.
bigger. Exactly. Right on. And Magnus, let's hear from you.
Yeah, well, I live in a town. I'm born in a little village called Njutånger, and it's a pretty funny name if you're familiar with Swedish. But it's pretty much, if you were to translate it, it's called pleasure regret. I don't know what the fuss is going on with that name, but I'm born from there, and that's where I'm a proud Njutånger kid. Currently living in Hudiksvall, which is a little town that is a 3-hour drive from Stockholm, north on the north part of Sweden. So if you have seen our country with a lot of snow, it's a good chance you have seen something from my area. I live with my wife and our 2 kids, 1 son who is 11 and 1 daughter who is 4, and 3 cats in a little house up here. So that's pretty much who I am and where I'm at.
Fantastic, wonderful. So I'll let any of the 3 of you answer this one. Could you tell us just briefly how More was formed? How did you guys meet, and how did the formation of the band take place?
Well, it was 2008, so we were a fairly young band, and it was queer coincidence that our paths met. We don't have a connection from our childhood. For me, I'm making music with now my brothers, of course, but back then 2 strangers. And I was in the middle of a writer's block, and I was looking for a project just to get my writing going, and I saw an ad on Facebook, and that ad was this fantastic synth band who was making instrumental music was looking for someone to write lyrics and sing. And Synth-Pop is in my heart, and I stalked them a little bit. So I found Matthias' page, and he had a broken frame as a cover on his Facebook. And for me, A Broken Frame is one of my favorite albums of all times. So I had to answer that call. So we met for a couple of beers and had a chat. And yeah, we slowly but surely got some writing going, because Lino and Matthias had some fantastic material already. So it was like a Swedish smorgasbord of great music to dig into.
Wonderful.
You want to add something there, guys?
No, I don't think so. I mean, as you said, Lino and I have made this. We've been working a long way back together, and but when we met Magnus, it was something was complete for the first time, so to speak.
Wonderful. And I have to acknowledge the fact that A Broken Frame is also one of my all-time favorite albums. Not only one of my favorite Depeche Mode albums, but my all-time favorite Depeche Mode song is on that album, and that would be "The Sun and the Rainfall." So, anytime I encounter somebody that shows the A Broken Frame album some love, I instantly have appreciation and respect. So that's awesome. So you had mentioned Magnus that you in the past had done music before you met up with Matthias and Lino. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What your background is with other projects?
Yeah, I mean, I've been making music for 23 years now, and that's quite a long time, I think. But I have had so many different bands and projects, because for me, writing music and singing has been like therapy, like probably for everyone who's making music. It's like puts you in this special little place where you can sort things out, you know. And it's been with me all the time. And I don't know how many bands I've been in, but I've been very dedicated to all of the projects that I've been doing. Looking in the rear mirror now, I know that has just been practice, you know, before to reach to the point where I were to meet Matthias and Lino, because my writing skills has been improving over the years. Of course, there's a saying that it takes you 10,000 hours to perfection something, if it's sports or if it's music or whatever, an instrument. So I've been putting in the time in order for me to meet Matthias and Lino. Yeah.
So Matthias, what have you done musically before you and Lino began working together, or did you initially start working together when you were younger?
I was in a band before I met Lino, another band, and it was in high school, but it was for a very short time. And I played the keyboards and synthesizers, but it was, as I said, for a very short time. And that was in junior high, and in high school I met Lino, so we go way back. I think we started around, was it 88? 88, I think.
I think 88, yes.
Yes, 88, somewhere around there. We started to play, and then we formed another band, Lino and me, and we had a female singer back then, and we made about 12 tracks or something that we back then it wasn't easy to get those songs out. This was before internet.
Right, I definitely remember those days. So just kind of real briefly, we know that Magnus, you are the lead singer, but what roles do Matthias and Lino play? My understanding is that Lino and Matthias are more the music composition side of it, but does Matthias, do you work more with the rhythmic components and the melody, or does Lino how do Lino and Matthias how do you guys split up the work, as it were?
Should I start, or
you start, Matthias?
Okay. It varies from time to time. I mean, sometimes some songs I make almost the whole song, and then we fine tune it together, or Lino can do the same thing. Sometimes we jam in the studio, and when we get together, we usually go to my cabin, and there we jam, and we move out all the furniture and create our own studio there, and we have fun over a weekend, and we play a lot of music, and sometimes we jam, and sometimes a song come out of that. And I think Sentimental Sounds is the result of just jamming, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Constant Loop is also the result of a jamming.
Yeah. My dream is, I'm more into just making melodies, and I would love to throw them to Lino, and he can make something really good out of it. And Legacy of K is an example of that, because I made a simple on the piano, a simple melody, and from that, with him together in the studio, we just created the version that got out on the LP.
That's fantastic. There's clearly when I listen to your music, I can hear a good synergy between what's happening with the vocals and the music that accompanies it. So hats off to both you and Lino Matthias. I mean, you love the music portion. Of course, Magnus, who we're gonna talk to right now. Magnus, how did you get your start with singing? I saw on Facebook a short while ago you posted something from many years ago about how you were singing, and you were every bit as handsome back then as you are now, I should say. But tell us just kind of briefly how you got your start with singing.
That is a funny story because when I was a kid, I always got told that I was tone deaf, and I think mainly that was my father because he's tone deaf, and it's like, yeah, you're just like me. So my destiny was to become an actor because I have always been a clown. You know, I love making people laugh. So that was my goal. Didn't have a single thought about singing, but then in high school, I was in this drama course where we did some theater and some musicals, and they forced me to sing basically. Kind of nervous, but I did it, and it sounded awful, but it felt very good in my heart. So starting in the late part of my high school, I formed a band, and they wanted me to play the drums, but I can't coordinate my hands and my feet. You know, it's terrible. But the guy who was singing said that he sounded really terrible, and I said, okay, well, I could sing. So that's why when I started singing and writing my own lyrics in order to get some kind of expression out that was mine. So yeah, I was a late bloomer, I would say. But I don't regret a single second. I don't do theater anymore. I just focus on music. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you did that, because your voice is truly unique among all of the many indie bands that I play on my show. Your voice stands out, and to my ears anyway, as one who's got a really unique, very soulful voice, which a soul of a different kind, as it were. To just give an example, Mars Ramos of Matthias and Mars, he has kind of the traditional soulful kind of voice, but you have the same thing, but in a in a different sense, and that it's always been something that's really impressed me about the music that you do, and the way that you approach your music there. So who would you say are some of your favorite singers? Who are some of the people? Who are some of the vocalists that you admire the most, both classic or current, whatever?
Yeah, well, it's pretty obvious that I'm a Depeche Mode fan, I would say. So Dave Gahan has always been my superhero, alongside with my brother, my older brother. He's also tone deaf, kind of. If he's listening, I love you. There's nothing wrong with not being able to sing. But Dave Gahan, of course. But I'm also a big The Doors fan. So, I mean, I love the muskiness of Jim Morrison's voice, the depth that he's having. And that's inspired me, taking my singing to another level. Dave he's perfectionist. I mean, it's perfection. And Jim Morrison, as a layer on top of Dave Gahan, that's what I'm aiming for. But it's also, there's a Swedish act who is no longer playing currently, called Broder Daniel, and the lead singer is called Henrikh Berger. And he's kind of like a person that either you love his voice or you completely hate it, because he has a very unique voice. And the lyrics that he writes is very simple, but it's expressful. And that kind of what pushed me into getting the courage to sing, because if they can make it big and you can bear a song with that voice, I can do it as well. So he's been a really big inspirational source as well, just to get the guts on expressing what you feel, no matter what people say.
Right. So Dave Gahn, I mean, he's kind of like the he's up there towards the top. I mean, he's just fantastic, and I can definitely hear a bit of his influence, and Jim Morrison. In fact, I was just thinking that very thing not too long ago when I was listening to one of the tracks from your debut album, thinking, well, I think I hear a little element of the Doors in there, and sure enough, so that's awesome. I'm a big Doors fan as well, so that's cool. So Matthias, a little bit about your background. Did you begin by playing keyboards? How did you get your start with music? Was the synthesizer your first instrument, so to speak?
Yes, it was. It was a Roland D10
Ah,
back in the 80s. I think it all began with Black Celebration, I guess, or Music for the Masses. That was the beginning, and I bought myself a synthesizer, and I played, and I had it for quite a while, and that's how it started actually. And then I sold it, and I didn't play for many years. But then I bought another synthesizer a couple of years later and started all over again.
wonderful. And Lino, did you get your start in music on the synthesizer as well, or did you learn other instruments first?
At first, I was rejected from the local musical school. I wanted to play the trumpet.
Ah,
They didn't want me to. But ever since I was like 13, 14, I started experimenting with the sampling. I bought this sampling card to my old Amiga 500. And at that time, you couldn't change the pitch on the sample. So you just had to sample a lot of samples and then put them in order. That's how I started trackers and things.
wonderful. I actually I was a trumpet player for several years. I lost interest in it, and it wasn't until I was probably 15 or 16 that I discovered that I wanted to play the synthesizer, and been doing that ever since. So Lino, who are some of your favorite influences as far as the synthesizer goes? Who are some of the artists that inspired you when you started out?
It's all of the classics that you mentioned before, but I've also listened a lot to other genres, the Beastie Boys. I listened a lot to grunge in the 90s, and but the last years I've been back to mostly synth-pop.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Matthias, how about you? Who were some of your? I know you're a big Depeche Mode fan. Any other big musical influences that you had as far as what inspired you with synth pop?
Yeah, for sure. Depeche Mode and Yazoo is probably more than Depeche Mode. I think I love Yazoo, and I also listen to lots of other bands and artists. I mean, I love John Lennon. I love. I'm a big fan of Madonna. I've been to every Madonna concert that's been in Sweden. I'm listen to a lot of ambient music as well, and bands like Joy Division, New Order, so many bands. I can't name them all.
Wonderful.
I think well, for mention one more, Fleetwood Mac. I love Fleetwood Mac.
Nice. Yep, I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan as well. It's always nice to hear that. And of course, I have to ask the obvious question: are all three of you fans of ABBA?
No, actually not.
No. Okay.
I like when Madonna made the "Hang Up" when she sampled the ABBA song. I don't know what song it is. Is it
Gimme, Gimme, Gimme? I think.
Yeah, sure, of course. Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. I like that one.
Yeah. Cool.
I actually went to a Green Day concert where Billy Joe had lended one of Björn in ABBA's guitars, because we have a ABBA museum in Stockholm, of course. And I was just hoping that he would smash it. You know, it would be so fun. You know, you take this this antique guitar and that has so much value and just smash it. Unfortunately, it was he handled it with care.
Nice.
But then again, ABBA, I can't talk down about ABBA because they have done something fantastic, and they were pioneers, and of course put Sweden on the music map.
Yeah, they're a great band, but I don't listen to them.
No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So another thing I know that Sweden has a well-known reputation for is metal and hard rock. Or did you guys ever get into any of the bands like Europe or I know Lino mentioned he was into grunge a little bit. Any classic rock? Like by chance, do you guys like AC/DC or Ozzy or any of that stuff?
I'm a big Ozzy fan, and I'm also a big Iron Maiden fan, and I've been listening before I discovered Depeche Mode. It was mostly hard rock.
Nice.
Heavy metal.
How about like Rush? You guys fan of Rush at all?
Yeah.
No, not so much.
No. Okay, cool.
There's a Swedish festival called Sweden Rock where they bring together all these classical bands, and I'm into all genres actually, and rock is something that's very close to my heart. So yeah, I got to see Rush, and I think it was 2016 or 15, and it was one hell of a concert actually. They were really good.
Right on. Cool. Well, Matthias, we'll start this next question with you. Talk to us for a moment, if you would, about how you begin your creative process when you write a song. You talked a little bit about how you like melodies and how you'd like to focus on that. But when you begin writing a track, and I know you and Lino collaborate quite well together, but when you begin the music portion of a track, just kind of walk us through how do you generally approach it? Do you start, for instance, with a chord progression, or just do you hammer out a little melody? What is your process?
It usually starts with I go through all the sounds and try to find a sound or find a sound that sounds really good, and then I play around with the sound, and it can be chords that I lay in a order, particular order, and or it can be a bass. It's very different. But I'm quite lazy. I usually take an old song and I throw I leave the drums and have the same drums as the former song, and then I work on it. And then when I created something that sounds good, I usually call Lino and say, you have to do the drums. Because he's much better at the engineering work, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
But it can be chords, it can be a bass line, or it's very from time to time.
Okay.
Mostly chords and a melody.
Cool, wonderful. And Lino, do you kind of follow the same the same process? Do you kind of start off with like a bass line, or Matthias called out that you're pretty good with the rhythmic aspects of it. How is your approach any different to when you begin writing a song?
I would say it's basically the same. Often just one, I'm clicking through presets, and suddenly I hear a good sound, and I work from there. But 7 out of 10 ideas, maybe one is good. So you throw a lot away.
Okay, cool.
But I tend to work a lot with the drums and bass in our songs. That's true.
Ah, okay, wonderful. And Magnus, so is it safe to say that you, as a singer, compose the lyrics, or are the lyrics more of a collaborative effort between all three of you?
No, I would say that I stand for most of the lyrics, but there are times when we actually meet up and we write the lyrics together, which is the songs. For me, it's fantastic to work with someone on the lyrics because previously I have done both the music and the lyrics for previous projects. So this is the first time I don't have to focus that much on the music. But I have to tell you, when I first met these guys, I got a huge catalog of songs, and it was like a treasure map. You know, I listened to the songs and I couldn't for the life of me get the words and the melodies of the lyrics floating. So I just let it be for, I don't know, maybe 7 months or something. And then boom, it just fell into place. And it was like obvious what to write about and what direction we should go with the lyrics in order to get the expression of their beautiful music also into the lyrics. And I think that the result of that turned out pretty good.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think the results are quite good too. So when you write lyrics, Magnus, where do you draw your inspiration from? Is it from things that happen in your own life or that you witness in others, or what would you say is kind of where you draw most of your inspiration from when you sit down to write lyrics?
I would say that I start with myself, because if you're gonna preach, you need to have some base, and at least that's what I think. People are different in that way, but yeah, well, it's pretty much episode out of my own life or something that happened several years ago that has been processed, and also not only is it all about me, of course not, but what I observe, the world in large. For example, the track called The Common and Multiplied Lies pretty much fell into place as the pandemic started, like it's my view of the world and what I thought at that point was going on. So yeah, I pretty much go to myself, I sit down and just, I flow write a lot, let the pen go and the voice go and just stick with it and not overthink too much. Be spontaneous, be true, and then just get it down there. And that's pretty much how I've been working for the last 23 years.
Wonderful. I have to have respect for anybody that can write lyrics because despite all of my experience doing what I've been doing over the years, I've always deeply struggled with writing lyrics, and so anybody that can write lyrics just automatically gets respect in my book because I still struggle with it greatly, and so I think your lyrics are fantastic. Truly, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us, Matthias, you talked earlier about going to a cabin when you guys record. Is that where Moore does most of the recording? Could talk to us a little bit about that. Do you guys have is that your studio, as they say?
Yeah, but because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to meet each other as much as we want to do. But so mostly we send these files over the web to each other. That's mostly how we work now. But we hope to get together to make music in the cabin in the future, and we have planned now in next month, I think, to meet and try to do something.
Fantastic. So do you guys, I assume then you produce and mix and do all of your own stuff? You don't hire a producer to come in and do that for you?
No, we do everything ourselves. So the only thing it costs is time. It's really time consuming, of course, but it's super fun.
Wonderful. Well, you guys clearly.
Sometimes it's quite frustrating as well, must say.
I can definitely relate to that, most certainly. So, is there any particular approach that you guys have to recording? Like, let's say when you are able to get together, and again, we'll use Sentimental Sounds as an example. Do you guys all get together in the studio together at the same time? Pandemic notwithstanding, do you prefer to be in the room together when you're laying down the vocals and doing all that?
I mean, that's the fun part, you know, because then you are a band and you get feedback directly and you don't have to wait and send files. And I think looking at the songs that we made together, both last year we had Echo Unfriendly. That was the first song. It was the first time I met them in the cabin. And that song was written over, they made an embryo on a Friday. I came over on Saturday, and then it was pretty much done when we wrapped up on Sunday. Sentimental Sounds is a perfect example too, but I was sick during that session, but they went down and kept me, you know, informed what was going on. So a week later I got to work on it, but that song was so complete, you know, that you had to, that's our second song that we made together also, which is pretty fun. So yeah, Macclesfield is another example. That one we wrote just before the pandemic hit. We met up in my house back then, and that's one of my personal favorites because it's such a, you know, it sticks out from the album, but it's also something that shows where we're going with the next album. A little bit darker, a little bit more clean sounding songs, and yeah, it's a big difference when we all three get together and make music, I would say. If you have any other opinions, guys, you just speak your mind.
Exactly, I agree totally.
Wonderful. So let's stick with Sentimental Sounds for a moment, and could you guys just kind of tell us how that particular song came about? And I just want to know because it is my absolute favorite Moore tune. So what can you tell us about how Sentimental Sounds came about?
Lino, was it the chords or was it the bass? Which came first?
I think I played around with the bass first, and you said freeze. That's good.
Okay.
Keep that part. And then we built this simple drums, and we laid the rest of the tracks also that night.
It was. I think it was recorded in a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's very, very simple song.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. So the composition of it actually fell together fairly quickly, like in one session. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. That's amazing. Magnus, how were you inspired for the lyrics to Sentimental Sounds?
Yeah, well, it's a funny story because at that time we were living in a different area, and I was driving 3 hours every Friday and Sunday to be with my family. And my son had a birthday, and I had gotten this track on the previous weekend, and I was going to drive down to where I used to study, but I wanted to write something. So I after the birthday party, I told my wife, take the kids and go shopping, do something, because I need at least 45 minutes alone. So I had that window of 45 minutes, and I just got into the music, and then because it is like do 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 do, and it's like watching, waiting. I mean, the kind of like, where am I going with this? And
right.
When they got back, I had their lyrics done for Sentimental Sounds. So it was pretty much done in the same session as well. And then I jumped in the car and I drove 3 hours. And in the house where I lived at my sister's, they weren't home. So I put up my gear and then I kind of fine-tuned it together with the guys on Messenger, you know, like, is this something where we want to go with this? And they're like, yeah, that's great. But the magic happened when Lino got a hand of it, because the song was very much shorter in the beginning, of course, but Lino cut it up and just made the form with the lyrics and the music to what it is today. And that's a stroke of genius, Lino, and I love you for it, man.
And I love him for it too, because I love that song. Such a great song. So 2 more songs on the album that really stood out for me would be the follow-up single, Constant Loop, and of course also Legacy of K. So could you guys take a moment and just tell us a little bit about Constant Loop, how that one came together, and then we'll talk about Legacy of K for a moment.
Lino, I think you have to tell them about Legacy K, because you know the best parts of it.
The Legacy of K was at first Matthias bringing a piano.
Sorry, I meant Constant Loop. I'm very sorry.
Constant Loop, okay.
Yeah.
Constant Loop, we jammed it together in a desperate mood in your cabin. But it has this little hook. It's quite old. I think 2013, 14 originally, and then it just lay there for all those years until we played it for Magnus, and he made it complete.
Yeah, I mean, Constant Loop. You know, we had a folder in our shared Dropbox, and the guys had made like a little side folder with like ideas that I would find at some point, and I totally missed Constant Loop. So I used, oh, what's this? And I listened to it, and I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's $1 million. That's what we want, you know. And yeah, it was a super fun song to find, because I was like, wow, I think we have something special going on here. And yeah, I love the hook on that song.
Wonderful. So Legacy of K, I have to ask, who or what is K?
Well, that's the $1 million question.
Right.
No, but K can be whatever you want it to be. I'm gonna be, I think we all agree upon, to be pretty boring not to tell you what K is, but it can stand for whatever it means to you. So I ask you, Jim, what do you think K stands for?
Well, of course, I'd have to say tacos.
Exactly.
Tacos are bunnies, right? I mean,
and I wouldn't say that you're wrong. No, but there is a little mystique about the K. Of course, we in the band knows what K stands for, but it has.
And for us, it has several different meanings as well. It's
yeah.
The K for me is something different from Magnus K and so on.
Okay.
But it doesn't stand for Special K, I have to say. It's not drug related, unless maybe could be a drug.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I also wanted to just take a moment. The way that I first discovered and first ever heard about your music was a music video that was done for you guys for, I want to say it was Eco Unfriendly was the first music video I saw. And you've had a couple of them made, and I wonder if, can you guys just talk to us a little bit about those wonderful music videos that were made for you?
First and foremost, Eco Unfriendly and Constant Loop are made by the fabulous Valerie. Thank you, Valerie. I mean, I know you're here. It's awesome. And that's the power of music, you know, coming from nothing, finding a soul who gets a feeling for the songs and creates something so beautiful. I mean, we're so happy that you asked us if we wanted you to create a video, and of course we jumped on board, and it turned out really nicely. And I mean, being a new band, I mean, we're doing pretty much, no, not pretty much, we're doing everything ourselves. We're learning as we go. We're putting the tracks in front of the train all the time. Then like, okay, you need to have a lyric video. Oh, really? Who wants to do that? You know, and then Valerie like, I can do it. And then of course we loved it, and releasing Constant Loop on top of that, we pretty much reached out to Valerie again. Would you like to do something with that isn't a lyric video? And we will do the best as we can with an idea that she had. She wanted to have us watching in the distance, being close to water and so on. And I think it turned out great. And Legacy OK, maybe you want to tell them a little bit about that video, Matthias?
I don't know what to tell. I made it myself, and we didn't have the chance to film any material by ourselves because of the pandemic. So you do what you are able to do, and I looked on the internet and I found this this guy who take great photos and shoot great videos and used his material to do the video to Legacy of K.
Oh, fantastic. Well, for those of you that are watching this, I highly recommend you check out the music videos that have been made for More so far. They are truly fantastic. And I also have to give a shout out to Valerie, who is just awesome. And she is one of the biggest advocates and genuinely, truly loves the music and the artists and everything that she does to help and support and promote these wonderful bands, these indie bands. And so I have to tip my virtual hat to Valerie, who is actually joining us here today in the event. We'll hopefully hear from her in a little bit, but just wanted to give Valerie a shout out there. So tell us, yeah, definitely. So what is More currently working on?
Well, we are working on our next album, and I would say that we are closing the finish line. At the moment, we have 11 tracks. Some of them are completed, and some of them needs to be polished. But we are working on. I mean, we're called More. We can't just have 1 year of a lot of music and then nothing. You know, then we should be called Less or No More or whatever.
Oh.
At first we said we were going to release something every month, but then we realized that's a little bit too much. So now we're going to polish a really nice album for you guys. And the songs on this album, last album was called From the Past, and that was because we were dealing with the material that Lino and Matthias had been doing for the last 10 years, and that's pretty much why the name is called From the Past. And this album is something where we found our form and the format on how we are working together, and it's going to be a super exciting album for you guys to hear. I think the songs are really powerful, and I'm if I was proud as a goose or as a rooster when we released From the Past, I'm going to be the whole hen house when we release this album.
Wonderful.
But we need about 4 or 5 tracks more and then kill our darlings, I think.
Wonderful.
That's my opinion. We have a little bit different opinions here in the band, but.
So I can't help but notice some guitars behind you, Magnus. Is there any plans to incorporate guitar into the music of More at some point?
There is actually a guitar on one lap on the album. It's very subtle, but it is there. And yes, you are right. It's going to be some guitar on the next album. We have a couple of tracks where the guitar is incorporated already. It's not going to be bearing a whole song, but it's going to be some flares from the guitar because, yeah, a guitar is a nice instrument, I think, if you do it right, so it doesn't take over the whole sound landscape that we're creating.
I agree. So what would you say, just kind of changing gears here, as an independent artist, what do you think is the biggest challenge you face as a group? I mean, for instance, what is one of the most difficult things to do as an independent artist? For instance, is it promoting your music? It sounds like you don't really struggle with composing so much, but staying motivated. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges that you face as independent artists?
I mean, you guys want to start, or shall I go on?
You can go on.
Yeah, I mean, the big struggle is, it's time consuming because you have to dedicate so much time into making the music and then promoting it yourself and reaching out to all you fantastic people out there and also being a ambassador for your music. But then bear in mind, we have been on band live in public for 1 year, so it's and the past year has been very good for us, so it's been a lot of fun. But I would say in the creative process, it's very time consuming. It would be much easier to just focus on music, being an artist, instead of doing the whole marketing canon and whatnot. Would you say that I missed something there, or do you agree?
I would say time also, and money, because promoting costs. So we have a very small resources for that.
Okay. So where do you expect, where do you want more to, what do you want to accomplish, I guess I would say, within the next, let's say 5 years? Where do you see the band being? What are some of the goals that you have set, say short term, long term, and so on?
In a short term, there is a new album, I think, this year. I don't know when, but it must be this year, I think. Magnus, do you know?
No, I don't think I know.
And then in the long term, I mean, just making music, that's the fun part of it. I mean, just making more songs. I don't have bigger goals than that for myself. I don't know what Magnus thinks and Lena thinks, but for me, the pleasure is just creating. When I find the right tune, the great melody, then I'm happy. And if Lino and Magnus can do something about with it, then that's my goal, so to speak.
Fantastic. So go ahead, Lino.
It would be nice though to be able to perform them live sometime, maybe next summer.
And that actually leads me into my next question. So we'll segue into that. Do you guys have an ambition to take more into performing live at some point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being on stage, meeting the audience it's the fun part. You're being with friends and family, kind of. And of course, we're dying to get out there to play live. All these songs, I know they will sound fantastic live. And it would be such a joy to just go on the road and play as much as we can. We were having a band meeting last week, and we were talking about it would be so fun to have a festival with all you fantastic musicians in your show, Blacklight, Eminent Soul, Great Disorder, Darwin McD, and so on. It would be nice to do a US tour. We are in Sweden, but that doesn't, as long as there's not a pandemic, it shouldn't be a problem to go overseas and just meet our friends and play music for everyone.
Wonderful. I can definitely speak for Eminent Soul. I would jump at the opportunity to perform with you guys, and I'm sure that Lance from Great Disorder and Darren from Darwin McD and Brian and Adam from Blacklight would agree with me. I mean, we would absolutely love to see something like that happen. So straight up, we're in anytime you want to do it, guarantee it.
Right.
So if there's one place anywhere in the world you guys could perform live, where would you want to perform?
Shall I take that, or do you guys want to?
Go ahead.
I mean, there would be so nice to perform at the Rose Bowl, Pasadena. Just to scream like "Good evening, Pasadena." That would be awesome. Right. Of course, you could do it in Stockholm too, but it doesn't really fly.
Right.
But to perform at the Rose Bowl would be so wonderful, I think.
And the Depeche Mode should be the opening act.
Yeah. The 5-year plan.
There you go. 5-year plan. Wonderful. And I have to give a little shout out to my boss, Oren Amram, who is here. He just said, come to Israel. So
yeah,
that would be awesome too. Wonderful.
That would be awesome.
And,
yeah.
Hopefully we'll get Oren to say hello here in just a moment when we conclude the interview. But that's wonderful. How about Matthias? Is there anywhere in the world that if you could play anywhere, where would you want to play?
Well, I don't know. There's a nice arena, ice hockey arena here in Stockholm called the Globe. That would be nice, but that's very far in the future. It's a vision more than a goal, I guess.
Cool. And Lino, how about you? Where would you like to play if you ever could play somewhere?
I think it would be cool to play in Berlin.
Berlin. Nice. Very nice. So, Matthias, what is your personal favorite Moore track?
Oh, I think at the moment it varies from time to time, but I think I must say Legacy of K, and I think Macclesfield are
Macclesfield.
those two, I guess.
Okay, great. Lino, how about you? What is your favorite Moore track or your favorites?
I like Sentimental Sounds a lot, and I also like One Lap a lot.
Okay, great. Magnus, how about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with Matthias there. It varies from time to time because everyone is a little baby, you know. It's
Right.
but I mentioned The Common. I think that song is fantastic. I also love a track called Huntsman and Brides, which is on our EP. I think that's a really emotional song. But you know, depending on the mood set, the songs, I think they all bear. And Bottomless Low is a perfect example of a song that is just so fragile and so nice. And I really like what we did with that song. But then, of course, the songs you haven't heard. Oh, I can't wait for you to hear them.
I can't wait to hear them either. So with Macclesfield, just to go to that real quick, does that refer to Macclesfield in the UK by chance?
Yes, of
It
course.
does. Wonderful. Just I always wondered that when I saw the name of the track. That's cool. So Latino and Matthias, this question is more for you. What are some of your favorite synthesizers? We'll start with hardware. What are some of the? You mentioned Matthias that you had a Roland. Was it a D10? D10.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite all-time hardware synthesizers?
I'm the kind of person that doesn't have so much hardware synthesizers. I'm more into software.
Okay.
I work with Reason, and that's. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter if it's a hardware or software synthesizer. For me, the important thing is the sound, and it can be created with the hardware and software. I know that people. That's almost a religion with hardware synthesizer and so on. But for me, it doesn't matter. I have a Korg Tritone. I don't know how to pronounce it as well. I bought it many years ago and I still use it. I haven't explored all the things you can do with it. I must say that's the only two synthesizers I've owned actually. I usually worked with software synthesizers. And Reason mostly.
What are some of your favorite software VST synthesizers that you use?
It's the sounds usually that comes with Reason. You can buy a lot from the propeller head Reason store. So I buy them from their website and I listen to them and if I like them I buy them. You can buy the hardware synthesizer as well and use them as if you want. So as a VST plugin.
The rack extensions in Reason are quite nice.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Reason in just a moment, but that's awesome. Lino, how about you? Do you have any favorite hardware or software synthesizers that you like to use?
My answer is basically the same as Matthias, but I do have had more things during the years. My current setup is the Novation Ultra Nova and the Korg Monologue, quite small things. But I've had the Yamaha DX11, Sequential Prophet 2000,
Wow.
Teisco, and my couple of kawais as well.
I think we did our last song in our former band 1993 on Your Prophet.
Yeah.
That was the last thing we did before we started to do music again with it was about 10 years in between, I think, or 7 years or something like that.
Also, I have a electronic drum kit for training.
Ah, wonderful.
But you're the drummer boy.
So you guys mentioned Reason, and that was actually going to be my next question, because being in Sweden, which is where Propeller Heads was based out of, I just had anytime I encounter an artist from Sweden, I have to ask them if they use Reason, because Reason is actually my primary DAW that I use, and I've been a Reason user. I first used Reason version 1 back in, when was it, 2000, when the original version came out, and then I dived into it both feet when Reason version 4 was around. I did that, and then shortly after Reason 4 was released, if you remember, they released a DAW called Record, which was the first time that they integrated audio into the Reason format. And I've always liked Reason simply because when I learned about mixing and producing music, I learned on an SSL 9000 series mixing console, and that's what the mixing interface with Reason is. And so for me, it was all just very instinctive and intuitive. I knew right where every control was going to be, and I love the fact that still to this day, Reason has only, I think, crashed on me twice out of the last 10 or 12 years. It's the most stable platform I've ever used. So I'm always excited to find out that some of my fellow artists, particularly ones that I absolutely love, like More, that you guys use Reason. That's cool. I like hearing that, because so many times you hear people that are using Pro Tools and Logic. I use Logic as well for some things. And I'm just now starting to dip my feet into Ableton. And the only reason for that is because I have the Roland Cloud. I actually tend to use a lot more software synthesizers than hardware these days. And the Roland Cloud, because I'm a huge, massive Roland fan, I just love the Roland Cloud, and I can't use any of the Roland Cloud devices in Reason, which is kind of really heartbreaking for me. So I have to do some of the composition when I want to use a Roland Cloud device. I have to first do it in Ableton and then export the stems into Reason, which, it isn't hard to do. It just kind of, I'd like to be able to do everything in one environment is all. So, but that's awesome. What's Matthias? Let me ask you, what's your favorite device in Reason?
I think I think at the moment it's the Europa synth. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think at the moment. Otherwise, it's I use them all. But the NN, is it right if I say NNXT19? Help me now, Lino.
And NXT is the one of the samples.
The sampler, yeah. Great. And Lino, how about you? Do you have a favorite device on the Reason rack that you use a lot?
I would say Thor, second Rex loop player.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Thor, and I use let's see, what's the other? I like Parsec. I like that one quite a bit. I bought the Parsec synth, and I've got some great rack extension synths. Like I've bought Respire, and I've got the Rob Poppins Predator and Antidote. Some great synths that I've got there. So that's awesome, cool. So tell us, guys, what being in Sweden, what is Sweden like? For those of us that are here in North America or Israel, what is it like living in Sweden? Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, living in Sweden, it's kind of small. It's kind of cold, but it's good. I mean, living in Sweden, it is probably pretty different. You know, you've probably read a lot about Sweden, especially during the pandemic. You know, the whole world was laughing at us and how we handled the pandemic, but some extent we actually did something right, but of course it's the big guessing game because it's an invisible enemy. But living in Sweden is quite chill, I would say. Would you agree, guys?
Yeah, it sums it up. Go ahead, Lino.
As I said, I don't have much to compare with. I just know living here.
It's cold and dark in the winter, but the summers are great.
So I'm a big fan of mountains, and here in Utah and in the Western United States, we have the Rocky Mountains and several other beautiful mountain ranges here in Utah. So there are some people that like the seashore, and I do like the seashore. I do like being in the tropical climates from time to time, but I love the mountains. I love hiking in the mountains. Is there? I'm assuming there's a lot of mountains in Sweden. You know, the Alps and whatnot. Is that? Am I wrong there?
Yeah, Alps. It's in Switzerland.
Switzerland. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, we do have mountains, you know, and you get to see the northern lights really beautifully in the wintertime in Sweden. Which is, if you haven't experienced northern lights, then I would gladly have you as my guest during wintertime if you want to enjoy something really special. It's magic in the air, you know. But there is some mountains, and there is a lot of forests in Sweden as well. So if you like hiking, it's a perfect country to hike.
Wonderful.
I've lived here and I still have never seen the northern lights.
Really?
Really? Wow.
You could be my guest as well, Lino. We could watch the northern lights together.
I have seen northern lights, I think on 3 different occasions. We do once in a while get them here in the United States. When I was in college, I went to college in the state of Idaho, which is a little farther north in the U.S. than Utah is, and I saw the northern lights a couple times when I was up there. So yeah, love that. So is there any, there's a whole bunch of talent in Sweden as far as synth-pop and electronic music goes. I mean, going clear back to, the 1990s, there was a great band from Sweden called Spock that kind of played up the Star Trek shtick with everything that they did. And of course, also, I believe Ace of Base, they're from Sweden, but also a lot of fantastic current modern day indie bands like Train to Spain. Patrick Adolfsson is another guy that I've been turned on to recently, who I think is fantastic. Unroyal, Somber View. There's just such a wealth of talent, I think, there in Sweden. Do you guys know, or do you have any camaraderie with any of those other indie bands from Sweden? Do you ever see or talk with them?
I mean, we are fairly new. We got to know a lot of fellow synth-pop bands during the course of this year, like Covered in Snow, for example, and
right.
You mentioned Train to Spain and Patrick Adolfsson. But no, we haven't got a chance to meet any of them. Hopefully we will be able to do that at some point. But there is a lot of great synth music coming out of Sweden, and a funny story, because when we released Sentimental Sounds, the crowd wasn't Swedish. The crowd was abroad, it was in Europe, it was in America and in Australia and so on. So we haven't barely dipped our feet into the Swedish scene. I don't know if they don't get our music or whatnot, but that's on our to-do list to conquer the synth scene in Sweden.
Wonderful. I'd completely forgotten about Covered in Snow. Another one of my absolute favorite Swedish bands. I love the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other indie bands that you guys enjoy listening to? Is there other bands that you're just massive fans of out there in the indie synth community? Any bands you want to show some love or shouts out to?
I don't know if no, she's not Swedish, but she's from France. I don't know if she's indie, but Hante is a she plays dark ambient music type of style, and that I listen a lot to her, and I think more people should do that. She's a great artist.
Fantastic.
But I don't know if she's indie, but maybe.
Cool.
Well, the thing is, there's so much talent, and being in this community. I mean, the Grey Disorder, Blacklight, Eminent Soul. I mean, your Sway. That's such a romantic track. Oh my God, I really love it.
Thank you.
And I mean, been listening to all these fantastic acts. 1 year ago, we were like, how are we ever gonna get into this nice community? And the love that the whole community has given us, automatically you listen to their music, you give them the appreciation, and the love you give, you get back. And I love everyone in this group, but also in the community. I think it's cool to see the pace that Blacklight is pushing out new tracks. I mean, that's inspiring for me, at least. And the quality is super. You, Lance, I see you sitting there nodding. I mean, your tracks, I love them. But
I totally agree with Magnus. I mean, all the bands, those are here tonight, and the other bands, you know who I'm talking about. They're great. I listen a lot to them, and I love Lance's voice. It's great. I said to Magnus, we have to have Lance on one track. We have to have him.
That would be awesome. I got to show Lance some love too. Not only is he one of my absolute favorite human beings, but I'm a big fan of the Cars. I grew up listening to the music of the Cars back in the 70s and 80s, and Lance's cover of Drive, it gives me chills every time I listen to it. It is so simple, but absolutely spot on, and it is undeniably the Grey Disorder when I listen to it. But it's, I mean, that's another one of those songs that, like Sentimental Sounds, when I first heard Lance's cover, I literally had chills going down my spine. And of all the many cover songs I've heard recently, Lance's cover of Drive was just phenomenal, world class in every way. So I can definitely vote. If you guys get a chance to work with Lance, I would be all over that. I would love to hear that kind of a collaboration. He's just such a wonderful guy. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Right on. So what do each of you do when you're not making music? What do you guys like to do as hobbies? Is there anything that you tend to gravitate towards when you're not making music? And I'll let each of you chime in here.
You start, Magnus.
Again. Well, you know, I have my little family and my cats, and of course a lot of time is I'm spending with them. You know, they are the best people in the world and the little world I created for myself. But other than that, I don't know. I meditate a lot. I meditate over the planet and the universe, and I probably sound like a hippie, and yeah, I am a hippie. And so that's like, I take pretty much 45 minutes a day and just sit there and I meditate and just be one with time, you know, and just trying to push out love to the world by thought. Hopefully you can feel it once in a while.
Definitely.
Yeah. So no, working and hanging out with the family and meditating a lot. That's pretty much my life in a nutshell.
That is wonderful. That is, I can definitely see that kind of focus on being well balanced with universe and with with nature and yourself. I mean, I definitely get a feeling of harmony, as it were, with you when it comes to those kind of things. So that's awesome to know that. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that with us. Lino, how about you? What do you like to do when you're not making music?
Well, I have this full-time work and then my family, so much time in the evenings I find myself behind the wheel. The kids has to turn up at different sports training events. Then we have this villa has to be maintained, and also we also have a summer house and a boat. So it's not it's easy to fill up the time.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And Matthias, how about you?
Pretty much the same. I think it's family and the children's sports. My son plays ice hockey, so I used to spend a lot of time in the ice hockey arena, but since the pandemic, the parents are not allowed to be there, and so the sports takes a lot of time. And then I'm a big football fan or soccer fan, as I guess you in US say. I watch the Premier League in England and UK, and go to London with my daughter to watch Tottenham Hotspur play.
Hotspur, nice.
Once a year, we try to go there, but since the pandemic, we can't go there, unfortunately. And if in the summer, I like to be on the sea with. At the moment, I have 3 boats. They almost wrecks all of them, but but I work on them, and I try to be as much on the sea as I can.
That is fantastic. That is so cool. I have to give a shout out to the fact that you like football in the Premier League, because I'm a huge Premier League fan as well. I hesitate to say my team is Manchester United, and I know the evil guys.
No, it's okay as long as you don't support Arsenal. It's okay.
For me, it's Chelsea. Chelsea and Man City are the 2 teams that I just. And of course, I'm a huge American football fan, and of the NFL. The Raiders have been my team for years. So, but that's awesome that you're into sailing. I've always been fascinated by that. That's cool. So I'll ask all 3 of you one of the last questions here, and we'll start with Matthias. Tell us one interesting fact about you that most people don't know. It can be funny, it can be silly, it can be embarrassing, whatever you like.
I don't know. Something about my boats. I got 3 boats and I got 6 boat engines, and they almost wrecks all of them. I'm working on these boat engines in my sometimes when I get time and try to fix them and get them working. I don't know. It's not fun facts, but that's what I do. when I'm not with my family play music, when I need time for myself, then I go down and work on these boat engines.
Wonderful. Lino, how about you? What's an interesting fact about you that most people don't know?
Actually, it's this that I can write and produce a decent synth-pop track. But also in my youth, in the 80s, I was very good at aiming guns. I was in the finals for youth in 3 times in the 80s.
Wonderful. Was that for rifle or for handgun or?
Handgun, small handgun, air gun.
Okay, great. I actually have something similar. When I was a small boy, I shouldn't say small boy. When I was between the ages of probably 14 and 16, I used to shoot competitively in the United States, long rifle, 22 caliber long rifle, and I won several competitions that I was in. And at one point, my parents were trying to get me to try out for the U.S. Junior Olympic team to shoot competitively, but I discovered music instead, and the rest, as they say, is history. So that's cool, fascinating. Thank you so much. And Magnus, how about you? What's an interesting or silly or embarrassing fact about you that nobody knows?
Well, it's a really hard question. Well, some probably no one knows that I used to have one of the largest candy box collections when I was a kid in Sweden. Yeah, we had roughly 1,300 unique boxes. No, the candy was gone, because I was a sucker for sugar when I was a kid. But the good thing about it was that we stored them at one of my friend's houses, and his parents they got sick of us with all these candy boxes full of in the garage. But yeah, that's a silly thing that no one knows. Yeah. I guess.
Wonderful. Okay, and the last question, which I have to ask everybody because I ask it of all of my guests: do you like bunnies?
Shall I go first?
I was pointing at you, Magnus.
Okay, I thought you were pointing at Valerie. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, well, bunnies, of course. I mean, I love bunnies who eat. Watching a bunny chewing on something. I mean, come on, that's adorable. Unfortunately, I have a lot of allergies, including cats, but I have 3. So I think it would be safe to get a bunny. But yeah, I like bunnies. I do, but I don't own a bunny.
Cool. Right on. Well, go ahead.
I guess I like bunnies, but I don't have one. I have never had one as well. But my sister's brother, when he was small, he had one, and he found it. It came to him. It has escaped from some owner, I guess, and he took care of it. But he had to name it, and I named it Clint Eastwood. That was the name that we gave to the bunny. So it was Clint. His name was. That's the closest I get to bunnies. But of course, they're lovely. But I'm grown up with dogs, and I said to myself, no more animals. When I got my old household, so to speak, it's quite much work with animals anyway. And so now I have a cat, but it's not my cat. It's the neighbor's cat. It comes and goes as it wants, and it works perfectly for us.
Wonderful.
And I'm allergic too, so it's a problem.
Okay. Well, as I always tell people, I know that some people love cats, some people love dogs. I'm just a bunny guy. I've always loved bunnies, so that's kind of one of my silly quirks that I always do. Anybody that listens to my show that knows I'm kind of, bunnies are kind of my thing. Right on. Well, Matthias and Lino and Magnus, thank you so much for taking the time to have this wonderful discussion for me. We learned some great insights into what inspires you and drives you to make the wonderful music that you do. And so my question portion has ended. So I'd like to go ahead and open the floor to all of our wonderful live event participants that are here. So if any of you that are in the audience would like to ask a question of either Lino, Matthias, or Magnus, please just kind of wave your hand there, and I'll call on you and just ask you to go ahead and unmute yourself, and we'll go from here. So with that, does anybody have a question for? I see Lance raising his hand here. Go ahead, buddy.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Fantastic. It's just so nice to actually get to hear your voices and to get to know your personalities and stuff. And thanks so much for the compliments. I'm curious to know, because I am partially French Canadian as well. So I think about when you're writing lyrics, how difficult do you think in English? Or like where do you go first in your head? And then how do you kind of, if you're not thinking English, how do you translate that in your lyrics and make it work with the song?
Well, I have always been writing songs in English because most of the music I listen to, there are some Swedish bands, of course, but it's English, and in Sweden, we have always been kind of Americanized.
Right.
So and also I've been living in the US for a time, and I lived in Dublin for a couple of years. So it's kind of natural to write in English. But then again, you need to know that if I were to express myself in Swedish, it would probably be even more thoughtful and so on, because you could variety, because it's my first language. But I think the English language is just so beautiful. You could say so many beautiful things quite simple but very thoughtful, and no, it hasn't been a struggle. It's just a joy, I would say.
Okay, so I just thought that it would be difficult to kind of like pace your lyrics to match the melody or something, right? Because your head goes to an idea here, and then you have to take the time to translate it, and maybe it doesn't work as well or something, you know. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, when you have recorded some lyrics, you hear your own expression, or if you have a grammatic error, you know, and there's probably some in our lyrics as well. There's some nuggets there, probably like, oh, well, that's grammatically wrong, but then again, it could be charming as well because it is our second language.
Right.
So it's a fun puzzle,
Cool.
jigsaw puzzle.
I'm very grateful for Jim for letting me trying out my school English tonight.
Awesome.
Well, you guys are all doing fantastic with this grotesque language that we know as English. Wonderful question, Lance. Thanks so much for that. Anybody else? Question for the members of More, or for me, or anything at all? I'll go ahead and ask any questions. Talk amongst yourselves, as we say. Oren, I have to call you out. Is that Nina I see there with you? L'chaim, shalom. And shalom to Noah. I see her there. Say hi to us, Oren. Are you? I think he's still on. Might still be on mute there. Are you there, buddy? Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Yeah, it's fun to see you, everybody, for the first time.
Hello to everybody.
Hello, Nina.
Oh,
so nice to see people from all over the world, literally. And of course, for those who don't know, we're going to be doing a Zoom Spotlight series with Oren Amram coming up next Saturday on May 1st.
Next Saturday?
Next Saturday, May 1st. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Whoa, okay.
Don't scare me like that, boss. Oh, wonderful. So any questions at all for these two three
Valerie's
What's that?
I have one.
Sure, Valerie.
Well, I know a lot about you guys already, and a lot of the questions that I had have been asked, but do you guys have any idea when your next single will be released?
Well, that's an interesting question, Magnus. You could answer that one.
Well, it doesn't matter what I think. No, I'm kidding.
Putting you on the spot.
Well, if it were up to me, you would have one next month, or maybe even today. But the thing is, we have a saying in the band, you know, where I go full throttle, Matthias is the brake, and that has been a winning concept. And we have decided to have a really tight release plan prior to the album. So we will continue a fast pace of singles and then follow up with an album. But look, from the looks of it, it would be probably shortly after summer.
That long, huh? Okay.
Or am I wrong, Matthias? Will it be sooner? Just so people can get it out, you know.
Well, we have discussed this forth and back so many times, and Magnus is quite frustrating sometimes for me holding him back. And so, well, we'll see what happens. But I think probably the next single after the summer, I guess. And hopefully the album in the autumn somewhere.
All right, sounds
sometime.
good.
Sorry.
We have plenty of wonderful stuff to listen to in the meantime.
Oh yeah.
And I love working with you guys, so let me know if you need any more help.
I would love to work with you as well. Thank you for the things you have done for us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Valerie is just awesome. She's just so cool. So let me throw out a topic for everybody, and anybody, all of you, feel free to take yourselves off mute if you'd like to. We'll just take a quick moment here. What everybody's favorite Depeche Mode album? And I'll start. My favorite Depeche Mode album is exactly the one that Matthias is holding up. Black Celebration will always be not just my favorite Depeche Mode album. The Black Celebration album is the album that made me want to do electronic music as a career. Kraftwerk were the very first electronic music I heard, and that is what caused me to fall in love with the synthesizer as an instrument. Was the music of Kraftwerk, and then but it was Depeche Mode, specifically the Black Celebration album, that just completely changed my life, and to the extent that no other piece of recorded music ever has. For me, it's the album I constantly go back to time and time again for solace and for comfort and inspiration. In the past several days, when past month or so that I've been dealing with the passing of my mother, the Black Celebration album has kind of been a place that I've escaped back into to just kind of feel better, as it were. So for me, Black Celebration, it's my all-time favorite Depeche Mode album. It is my all-time favorite album, period. So how about the rest of you? Oren, I'll ask you, what is
Broken
your
Frame.
Broken Frame?
Yeah, that was the first album I ever heard from Depeche Mode. I was 15 years old,
Nice.
and it's my all-time favorite. And Black Celebration, my second.
I think a Broken Frame is my second favorite. So we're kind of juxtaposed there. That's awesome.
Say hello to Royce. Here's Royce.
Royce, oh, he's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Look at that. Lance, how about you? Are you a Depeche fan?
Oh yeah. Like I think Songs of Faith and Devotion is a good album for me. Like it's a little more newer, but it's, I don't know why, but that one really got me hooked. Violator was the big one for me, but then that Songs of Faith and Devotion kind of kicked in for me. Like there's Walking in My Shoes is one of my favorite songs by them. Like it's just a great album.
In Your Room, the album version of In Your Room still gives me chills every time I listen to it. That's such a good album there.
Yeah.
How about Valerie? Are you a Depeche fan at all?
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
I actually didn't get introduced to Depeche Mode until my senior year in high school, and Violator was the album that I first heard, and that kind of opened me up to this whole synth music scene, and I've dug deep since then. But I really love Violator, and along the lines with Lance, I think that Songs of Faith and Devotion was another album of theirs that really hit me. I like the passion from that album, so that's what really drew me to it. But I pretty much love all their stuff. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with a lot of their first albums. I've heard some of them, but not really listened through them straight through.
Right on.
I'm working on it.
Magnus, how about you? What's your favorite Depeche?
Well, yeah, I agree on whatever everyone has said, but what really got me hooked on Depeche Mode was the guitar in Behind the Wheel, do do do.
Yeah.
I mean, so simple, but I felt so cool every time when I was a little kid listening to that song. And you just watching the 101 concert. When I was shoveling snow as a kid, I used the shovel as a mic stand, and I started spinning and trying to be Dave Gahan. But Dave always won for some reason. But I felt very cool, and confident that I was doing something right. Didn't shove that much snow, but it was fun. But Music for the Masses, I think it's a really gorgeous album. But of course, I think Some Great Reward also is a really great album because it has such a industrial feel to it, and I mean it's a political album in that sense that I kind of am drawn to. Something to Do, it's just a fantastic track on that one, and Blasphemous Rumors, of course.
Oh yeah,
right. Sean Kelly, if you're still there with us, I know I have a good idea that you're a Depeche Mode fan. What's your favorite Depeche Mode album?
definitely going to agree with Lance for Songs of Faith and Devotion and um, Music for the Masses. Mainly, although I haven't written anything in a while lyrically, just lyrically speaking, those albums are very powerful, influential, um, very dramatic, but clean and easy. So, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very good. And Darren, if you're, I'm sure Darren is meeting us there poolside. What if Darren's there? What's your favorite Depeche, buddy?
Wow, that's a tough one. Definitely, I got hooked on Depeche with Construction Time Again. I think that's the album that really sucked me in. Reinforced by Some Great Reward. But gosh, my favorite, I don't know, it's a toss between Black Celebration and Violator. I mean, I think they hit their peak with Violator, in my opinion. I think that was like their just most hooky, well-produced album. But yeah, Black Celebration is really amazing too. So good. So many great songs from that.
Wonderful. You know, I gotta say, in regards to Construction Time Again, my favorite track off Construction Time Again, and I absolutely adore it, would have to be And Then. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
That song, just something about it. I just love it. And I love Shame, another track on there that's just kind of really bizarre. But
yeah.
Ron, if you're still with us, how about you? What's one of your favorite Depeche albums?
Well, I definitely got to say, well, Edgar introduced me to Depeche Mode, I guess my freshman year, when we met during our freshman year of high school. But really, I guess Music for the Masses, because I had just started, we both started college when that album came out, and I was DJing, and Edgar and I both were going crazy trying to track down all the different 12-inch singles to Strangelove that were out at the time. I think there was 4 of them. And so I incorporated a lot of remixes into things that I was doing there at the club that I was helping out at, trying to, and Edgar and I actually created our own little DJ mixes and things that we played off on tape, and just did that for a long time. So yeah, definitely that. And also one of our first attempts at a cover was Behind the Wheel. So it wasn't that great, but it was, so I definitely say that album was my favorite.
Fantastic. And Lino, how about you? What's your favorite Depeche?
Today I would say Music for the Masses, but I can also tell you how complicated it was for me to get in touch with or to hear Depeche Mode for the first time. It was my best friend at that time. I think it was 1984, must have been 85. My best friend, his big brother went to the US and recorded radio stations down to tape, and those tapes he brought back to Sweden, and on these tapes that we were listening to then, there was these tracks, People Are People and Master and Servant. So I had to get them from the US.
Oh, wow. Right on. Yeah, the very first time I ever heard Depeche Mode was I watched the world premiere of the People Are People video on MTV back in, I want to say, 1984. And at the time, I was a huge Duran Duran fan. And I took one look at Martin Gore and I thought he was trying to be Nick Rhodes. And so I hated Depeche Mode when I saw that People Are People video. And it wasn't until I heard Black Celebration that completely changed for me. And so yeah, that's great. Music for the Masses was another fantastic album, and I gotta show some love to Speak and Spell. I love the fact that it's Vince Clarke's. It's very much a Vince Clarke album featuring Dave Gunn and Martin Gore. Basically, it really is. I think Speak and Spell is probably a good case can be made that it is the only actual synth pop album that Depeche Mode made. Whereas, albums like Black Celebration, Music for the Masses, even Violator are more probably what we would call dark wave today, but fantastic albums. Just so many great memories I have with those Depeche Mode albums. So great. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add, or any questions they'd like to ask? Feel free. Got a minute or so before we wrap things up here.
I do, Jim.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want for the band. How did you come up with your name?
Shall I take that one, or?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, that was probably the main topic of the first quarter of 2020. What we have all these songs, but we have no name, and I don't know how many ideas we were pushing back and forth, and nothing
Almost,
really.
I guess it was almost not 100, but at least 70 different names.
But
and Magnus refused them all.
Yes. No, I did not. I like the ones I picked. No, I'm kidding. No, but then one day, since you should bear in mind that starting 2020, we had 2 songs with lyrics, and by February we had 14 songs with lyrics. So it was really going fast, because I started writing, finding with the joy, and then I was like, well, why don't we simply call ourselves More, because it's just coming and coming and coming. And they didn't really like it, but I thought that it was, More should be it. So I did like a little sketchy kind of logo. It's not our logo that we have today, but something similar. And I said, like, this could be us, and that's pretty much where we agreed that this feels right. It's easy, everyone can pronounce it. There's a lot of puns related to it, like, we have a lot of music tonight, we have da 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 and more. So we always expect us to be on the radio when they said that there's something more, We were called TBA for a long time, to be announced, We didn't have a name. And that works also in festivals when you have like all these bands, the lineup, and then like you have the TBA in the end, and then of course that could be free promotion.
There you go.
I'm actually a little jealous of your name, because I swear one day I'm going to write a book called 101 Ways to Spell Reactive. So everything we've ever released on it's spelled or done a different way. So it's crazy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, but we kind of like it. It kind of should. I think it more is symbolizing the sound of the music as well. Somehow.
See, I like it too. It's endless. It's open.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
Yes.
But it's hopeless to Google.
And I have to admit, if I'm being perfectly honest here, when I was first trying to tag the band early on, without knowing that it was at More the Crew, just try simply typing in More in a Facebook search, and yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, More the Crew. I don't know. Every single page that we have is called More the Crew, and I take the blame for that. But like you said, more is taken.
Yep. Wonderful question, Sean. Thank you very much. All right, folks. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. And before I do, I just want to remind everybody that, again, coming up tomorrow evening, right after, 3 hours after the Soul of Synth-Pop concludes, we're going to be doing a special roundtable discussion tomorrow evening to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Erasure's Chorus album, as well as the 40th anniversary of Depeche Mode's Speak and Spell album. And that will be taking place tomorrow evening. And of course, all of you are welcome to participate in that. And then coming up on next Saturday, May 1st, we will have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Oren Amram, coming to us all the way from Israel. And we'll learn all about him. And I get to put my boss on the hot seat. So looking forward to that. And then coming up after that, we have, let me just got to double check my schedule here. We have on May 15th, there's going to be a special sugar tax by OMD. We're going to do a roundtable discussion to celebrate the 30th anniversary of OMD's album Sugar Tax, and really looking forward to that. And then on the 22nd of May, Saturday, we're going to be inviting George from Alien Skin, former member of the Australian new wave legend Real Life, will be joining us for the Zoom Spotlight series. And on Sunday, May 23rd, Mr. Synthwave himself, Michael Oakley, will be my guest on the Zoom Spotlight series. And I'm happy to announce today, for the first time ever, that on June 13th, which will be a Sunday evening, my special guest for the Zoom Spotlight series will be Channel 69, hailing from Dallas, Texas. So lots of great stuff coming up, and really looking forward to my conversation with Oren, because Oren is an awesome guy. And I just once again have to show my appreciation and respect to Oren for giving me the wonderful opportunity to bring all of you the soul of synth-pop every Sunday on Radio Plus. And none of that would be possible without my dear friend, Mr. Oren Amram. And cannot thank you enough, my friend.
Thank you.
So with that, once again, I want to extend my greatest gratitude to Lino, Matthias, and Magnus of More. Thank you so much for spending a couple hours with us and telling us about your wonderful music. Thank you to each of you that have tuned in today. Those of you in Israel, Shalom and L'chaim, Mazel Tov. And to all of you in Sweden and the UK, just thank you all so much for taking the time to do this. If you haven't already, I will ask you to please subscribe to go to the Soul of Synth-Pop YouTube page, hit subscribe and ring the bell to get some notifications. And I will be posting this video to the YouTube channel within the next 12 hours or so. And so you guys will all be able to see it from the beginning. And with that, again, just thank you so much, everybody. You guys are all awesome. Please support these wonderful bands, support More, and all of the wonderful artists that both Oren and I play on our shows, and follow them on social media, buy their music, and just continue to be awesome, every single one of you. Just thank you so much for the wonderful spirit that all of you bring to my show and to this wonderful chat. And I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful discussion with More as much as I did, because I really, really enjoyed it. So with that, everybody, have a wonderful remainder of your day or evening, as it were. And I will see some of you tomorrow on tomorrow night's Erasure and Depeche Mode series. And if not, I'll hopefully connect with you on my show. And don't forget, Oren's wonderful Synthesize Me show comes on right before mine. So make sure you check out the Electronic Sunday on Radio Plus, because there's some great shows on there as well. So with that, everybody, thanks again. Much love and peace to you all. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Great show. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.